Hello, my name is Christopher Victoria. This is my initial post for the Week 2 discussion. For this discussion post, I chose to watch a talk from Emmanuel Jal. He's an international hip hop star from the Sudan, and the thesis of his talk is basically the need for education, of course, in the Sudan and other countries in Africa, as well as the power of music. And he also gives a little information and kind of makes his talk a little informative when he goes into discussing some of the religious wars and corrupt governments in the country of Sudan and how he became a victim, I guess, of the wars that are taking place in Sudan. And what he did to capture the audience's attention, at least how he got my attention, is he started right out saying that he was going to talk about and discuss something that was very painful and very hard for him to talk about. So automatically, that plays on your emotions and your sympathy and your empathy, and you kind of tune in to what what he's going to say, and it makes Emmanuel come off more relatable because as you know, people don't necessarily come out into a group of people and say, hey, I'm going to talk to you about something that's very hard and very painful for me to talk about. So I felt like that was a good way for him to gain the audience's attention, and that's how he gained my attention as well. What he did to engage the audience is, of course, he told a story. And the story is basically his journey and his trials and tribulations that he went through as being a child growing up in the Sudan and actually coming to be a soldier at a young age for a regime in the Sudan and actually fighting in the wars himself. And another thing that he did to engage the audience is he used some poetry, or what he did rather is recite some lyrics from one of his songs in the form of poetry. And what he did is describe scenes from his early childhood and things that he saw growing up. And the poetry itself related to the overall thesis and the overall speech that Emmanuel was giving. The TED commandment that he followed the best, I would say, is Commandment 4, thou shalt tell a story. The talk itself was a story. He told how education could have helped him make better decisions growing up. And what it does is it kind of puts things in perspective. His story itself, when you hear it and as he's talking, you kind of take a step back and you kind of put yourself in his shoes. And once again, that's kind of how he engages the audience and kept the audience engaged, just playing on emotion and using the audience's empathy and sympathy and wanting to make himself relatable to the audience. And I think he did a very good job of that. What tips did the speaker use from Gar Reynolds and Nancy Duarte? The biggest thing that I saw, and it was the number one tip, or the first tip on the Gar Reynolds side, is he did show his passion. His passion for the subject can be heard in his voice and through his poetry. You could see the pain on his face as he was speaking about some of the things that he witnessed and saw as a child growing up. And I could see the passion, and I could feel the passion coming from Emmanuel as he spoke, and it really kept me involved through the whole speech. I mean, it was an 18-minute speech, and I sat there hanging on word for word for word, just waiting to hear where the story was going to go and how it all tied together. What tips can I give on delivery? If I could give any tip, it would be to know your material. Once you know your material, it does bring up that extra confidence because you know what you know, and at that time you also know what you don't know. So that being said, know your material. That's half the battle. And another thing is, I would say just speak like you're speaking to a group of your friends. Use that same tone and try to convey your message in the same manner you would convey it sitting next to your best friend. That makes you more relatable as a person. And the only thing I really have to compare it to is my performances that I give on stage, in front of people, performing my music. That's really only setting that I have to compare everything to. So I would say just knowing your material and being prepared is half the battle, and that is definitely a way to smoothen your delivery. And like I said, once again, approach the audience as if you're speaking to a group of friends. Once again, my name is Christopher Victoria. This is my week 1 discussion post, or I'm sorry, my week 2 discussion post. Thank you.